Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Good to see you all. We have about 80 people coming, so I've put everyone on mute for this session, just so it's a bit easier if people jumping on with dogs in the background and that sort of thing, which can happen at times. So what we'll do is we'll set up a link for Q&A, and then we'll do some time at the end for question and answer. I'll also record this meeting and send it out to everybody so you guys have access to this tutorial. And yeah, you'll be able to follow along in your own time if you want to do some practicing after the call. So what I'm just going to do is change some settings in this meeting to allow people to get in automatically. So bear with me for a couple of moments and then we'll dive into the webinar. Awesome. So could you guys just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me loud and clear? Perfect. Thank you all. Great. Well, let's dive in, guys, and we'll probably have people filtering through as we make our way through the session. I'm just going to share my screen. Cool. So hi, everybody. My name's Chris. I'm one of the co-founders at Liveheats. I'm actually from Queensland, Australia originally, but me and my wife left Australia back in 2022 to do a bit of international living. So we moved over to the US for a bit, and now we're actually in the UK. So yeah, I work on Liveheats across all parts of the business, from the product to sales, marketing, support, basically every part of the company. We have 12 other people working with Liveheats these days around the world. So we have a couple of them on the call with us. And yeah, all corners of the globe now supporting surfing, skateboarding, ski and snowboard, surf lifesaving, BMX, scooter competition. So all the action sports, ocean racing sports, and so on. In surfing specifically, which is what tonight's about, we work with everyone from the tiniest little board rider clubs with 20 members through to elite events. We're not quite doing the WSL yet, but we do a lot of their trial events and some of the QSs. But we do all of the national level, a ton of international level competitions around the world, as well as club level stuff and everything in between. So for today, what we'll be doing is I'll take you through a demo of the system. And then if you have questions, what I'm going to do is put in the chat on the Google Meet a link to a different platform where you can ask any questions. And then in there, what we'll do is at the end of the call, we'll spend 15 minutes and I'll go through the top voted questions, depending on what people want answered. So I'm just going to drop this link into the chat. So you can open that link up on Slido is the platform and pop your question in there as we're making our way through. I'll pin that message there. So the question and answer link is in the chat there. So let's hop back to Liveheats and dive into the demo itself. Cool. So I've gone to liveheats.com now. I've created an organizer profile for this little test organization that we'll be doing today. And then I'm going to now jump in and start setting up my events and my series. So a quick introduction to the main areas on Liveheats before we start building anything. The first one is our events area. Obviously with events, that's where we create events. We go them to run them on the day. We also go there to view previous results and extract data and all the things we need to do within events. Our series area, this is where we go to manage memberships and rankings. Now, both of those modules are optional modules to use on Liveheats. You may use a different membership system, or you may not do rankings across multiple events through your season, but you can use the series area to build and manage memberships as well as ranking. So say you do 2025 series, you want your members to join that series, and then you want your events in that particular series to be published to the rankings. So the series area is where you'll create that, and you can set up your series as either memberships only, rankings only, or a combination of memberships and rankings, which is really common in the world of board rider clubs. So you'll go there to manage and view members, add your life members, add cash members, view and manage rankings. The athletes and teams area, this is where you administer your database of all of the athletes you have in your organization. So a common situation here would be you have two duplicated profiles for, Tim Smith and Timothy Smith. They show up on your rankings as two separate profiles, which does happen. You can go to the athletes and teams area. There you can merge those profiles together to clean up your athlete database. You can also export profiles out of this area if you want to import everybody's email address into MailChimp or your email marketing newsletter, so you can keep everyone up to date. This is kind of your central database of all of your members, but also people in events that aren't members or previous year's members. Anyone who's ever appeared in your account of Liveheats will be in this list, so you can have that overarching database, and then you'd go into series to view specific members for a particular year, or events to view the athletes for a particular event. So coming back to the events tab now, we'll go ahead and start building our event. We won't worry about a series for today, but you know where to go when you need to build that. So let's go ahead and click create event. We have a couple of options here. We can start from scratch. We can clone an existing event if you want to copy over the divisions and settings from one of your previous events. Or you can create via import. That's if you use a different registration system. We won't worry about that one for today. So we'll start from scratch. Here we can just put in the name of our event, start date and end date. If it's a 2-dayer, you might want to select the Saturday and the Sunday, and then the location. So I'm just going to chuck in where I currently am in London. You can put in here a region, a particular area, or you can be really specific. So this uses Google Maps. So you can actually type in if you want, if you know you're running at like a particular car park or a particular beach entrance, as long as that appears on Google Maps, you'll be good to select that from the drop down. Down here, if the event's part of your series, so I mentioned before, you can use a series for memberships and or rankings. That way you'll add that event to your series, so the events flow into your rankings. If you're using membership, it makes sure that people entering are a member of your particular series. So we'll go through to continue, and here we add in our divisions. So your divisions will be populated here from when you've used them previously. So you can just select them from the list. If it's your first time, you'll create your divisions and then you'll reuse these. Your divisions are basically what you want to crown your champions in at an event level. So you can really set these up. If you have a long list of divisions over the years that you want to tidy up, just get in touch with our support team. You can go to this support link up here, community@liveheats.com, and drop us a note, and we'll be happy to help you clean up your list of divisions so you don't have a long list if they change over the years. Cool. So let's go ahead and click create, and we'll end up on the event dashboard. Now, once we're on the event dashboard, the first step is to get our entries into this event. So there's a few ways for doing this. The easiest way is to use Liveheats for registrations. So you can see here this event status is set on entry open. That means our individuals, our club members, our surfing competitors that we want to participate in this event, they can enter this event. You can go to the event settings, and we have 2 tabs here for registration. One, which will allow you to set up things like entry open and entry close in the future. So you might like to build all your events at the start of the season and then actually set an entry open date, say 2 weeks before the event, and it closes 3 or 4 days in advance. And you can just set all of that up in advance. And so through the season, the system will just open and close entries for you. That's a new tool we've added recently. We also have waitlisting. If you've got a really popular event, you want to approve people before they get accepted. And we have other tools in here for your registration, such as your registration form. If you want to add fields like different questions to the registration form, what's your t-shirt size? Do you have a preference around what time you want to compete? Blah, blah, blah. You can add that in your registration form. You can also edit the email confirmation message, which is a recent feature. So you might like to say, when people register, you might like to give them a promo code to a particular business that's sponsoring you. You might like to give them particular information about, hey guys, we're meeting on the Friday night beforehand to do the draw, come down, whatever you would like them to know in the email confirmation, you can use this tool to set that. On the payment side of things, if you would like the event to take payments, you can connect your Stripe account and collect payments for the event. Here we have a range of features in the payments area that are really useful for surfing contests. If your event is not paid, for example, you're a club and you pay a membership and then it's just free, you don't have to do a payment on an event level. But if you're doing like an annual single fin and you want to invite other people from different areas, you can have them connect their Stripe account and they can pay they can pay through your event registration. All right, so that's registration. So once you've set that up, you can just send out your public event link. This is the link to the Liveheats public platform. You can share this URL with your members, or you can just send them directly to your profile. So I've just created this little profile, Surf Test. They can go to Liveheats, search for Surf Test, and they'll find it. Or you can have this link in your Instagram bio or Facebook or on your website to drive people to your Liveheats pages for events and memberships and rankings and everything that we handle for you. So the athletes will go through this process, they'll register themselves, and then those entries will appear directly in your event dashboard. If you are using a different event registration system, you can just add or import entries directly in, which is what I'll do today. So I'll go into the Open Women's division, and I'm just going to add in a few names in here. A few dummy names, you can just check box them in here. This is useful if you're doing testing, for example. You can just select existing athletes you have in your database to do some testing. I'm going to type in 8 names, so we have enough for a draw. Cool, so we can click add 8 athletes. Now we have 8 names in this division for Open Women's. Now, guys, if you have joined in the last couple of moments after we started, there is a link in the chat on the Google Meet to submit any questions, and I'll spend 15 minutes at the end to answer all of those for you. So you can access that Google Meet link and pop your questions in there as we go through, and then you can vote on other people's questions. So open up the chat link, and it should be there. I'll repost it really quickly just in case you didn't get it. Cool. All right, so hopping back to where we were in this event. So we have now 8 athletes in this. So as you have opened your entries up to your community, you will see when you visit your event dashboard, you'll see these entries starting to populate in your divisions. When you're ready, you can close the entries so people can no longer register, and then you can start building your draw. So the easiest way to build your draw is to just go to the event dashboard and press this big button here, which will just generate an automatic draw for you for every division you have in your event. It will just use the numbers you have available. We have an algorithm that can generate draws for you. So that's a really easy way to do that. If you would like to customize a draw, you can do it by building it with a bit more of a manual approach. So you can go into the division. You can check your division settings to make sure it's on the heat size and progression that you would like, and the heat duration. So you might put this on 6, for example, or 2 if you want to do man-to-man format. And then you can click Draw Heats. This will bring up a little module for you to check what the draw is going to look like before you can create the heats. So I'm pretty happy with this. We'll have, with 8 athletes, 4 in each heat, semis going into a final, and we can click Draw Heats. And that gives us a really simple heat draw here. If we wanted to do things that are more advanced, like say a repechage round, what you can do is you can go into these round settings and customize the progression out of a round. So we might like to put the top 2 go to the final or round 3, and then the losers in this heat go to round 2. So you can set this, and then you can redraw the heats to repopulate your draw with those new settings. So what you want to do when you're building a draw is edit your division and round settings to get the structure as you want it to look, and then use the redraw to regenerate the bracket with those new settings and repopulate the heats for you. Once you've got the structure down pat, you can use your mouse to drag and drop the positions around. So if you don't like what our algorithm has placed the progressions in, you can use your mouse to mix them up, for example, across multiple heats. You can just drag them around. Likewise with the athletes in here, you'll see it has used the order of the seed. So we didn't put in seed in here, but because it's in order of 1, 2, 3, 4, you can see that the draw has automatically put the top seed down. Sorry, it's upside down. So this is going to be the top seed. This is the second seed, and so on. So if we go in here and we put in Jane 1 as seed 1 and Jane 2 as seed 2, and we redraw, we'll now see that Jane 1 is in red in the top heat because she's now the top seed. Jane 2 is the bottom seed. Those seeds will be automated for you from your rankings once you're up and running with Liveheats on rankings, but you can manually override or import them too if you're not using our rankings management solution. The other things that you might want to know about the draw editor is you can make changes on the day on the fly if you need to say, if you say you have a couple of dropouts, so Jane 5 drops out, she tells you, hey, I can't compete today, you want to get rid of her, and same with Jane 4. You may look at your draw and be like, hey guys, we're actually just going to do one 6-person heat. So you would just come over here and type in 6, click save, and then use the redraw heats to regenerate that heat. And you can now see we just have a straight final with 6 athletes in here. Cool. So we now are all good. What I'm going to do is just add some athletes back in. So let's pretend someone shows up late for our event. Say, hey, I want to be added to the draw. You can either add them into this list. So you might just add them in via here. Or you can, if you just want to slot them into the draw and not redraw the heats, just click this little button, add empty spot, and slot them into a position in your draw. So I'm just going to reinstate these athletes that had cancelled. And I'll redraw the heats. And we're now back to our bracket. It is still on 6-person, so I'm just going to update that back to 4 and save. Cool, so I'm pretty happy with this draw now. The next phase would be going to my other divisions and checking the draws, making sure we're cool with all of those. And then we can go to the schedule, which is where we can build out a running order for the event. So the running order, you can set the start time. The system will give you the estimated start and end time for all of your heats in this list. And you can add in breaks. If you want, say you're doing a 2-day event, you would put in a break for the second day and then drag that position down to where you want it to sit in your schedule. So let's say we want to do the semis on day 1 and move to the final on day 2. We would set it up like that. In real life, you'd have your open men, your open women, you'd have several divisions in this list. So you can use your mouse to drag and drop. You can hold down shift on your computer to grab multiple blocks and drag them in bulk. And I often, when I'm building complicated draws, I like to zoom out a bit on my browser, holding down command and the minus icon, so I have more way to like view and manage my schedule. So once we're happy with our schedule, we can also do double banking. I should mention too, if you're doing 2 banks and you start and end the heats at the same time, you can move them over to this side of your schedule here. If you want to do double banking, but the heats start and end at different times, it's better to just set up 2 separate events. You can buy an extra small credit for that purpose. So some clubs and organizations have their microgroms down the beach on a different program, their own time, their own schedule. You could just set up a separate little event for that one and keep that isolated so they have their own schedule. So once we're happy with our heats and our schedule, we can switch this to draw published. And then now we have published everything that we've created today. So if we hop back to our public event link that we had created here, so this is what the public can see. We'll now see that the draw is published, the schedule is visible, everybody can jump on here, see what time they're on, and this is all mobile friendly, so that if they're accessing it just on their phones, which is 90% of the people will be doing, they can jump in and view this really nicely on their mobile device. They can also, if you're using our registration system, find their own personal view of their competition information through the athlete dashboard, which they'll access. I don't have a profile on this director account, but they will see athlete link up here for them to select, which will give them a personal view of their competition information, and then it'll give them what heat they're in, what color jersey, all that sort of stuff. Now, we didn't talk about a whole bunch of advanced settings that Liveheats has around in surfing. So quickly, I'll just show you some of them. So you can edit your jerseys or rashies. You can hide results for the finals. You can hide the schedule. You might hide the entries from the public. You can go to the judging tab, drop high and low, hide the athlete names. You can set a rule so that the average is only shown to your public once, say, all 3 scores are entered in. Or you might say the average is only shown when all 5 are entered if it's a big panel, and in that case you might turn on drop high and low. For small organizations, you should just leave these settings, keep it nice and simple. But if you're interested in any of these more advanced tools, please drop us a note. Email address is always up here, community@liveheats.com. You can always access that up in your help icon here. Cool, so now let's pretend it's now the event day itself, and we want to now actually set up and start scoring things. So what we would do on event day is we'd get our devices ready. So the devices we would want is one director device. So that's the person who's responsible for managing the schedule, the draws, adding people that are showing up late, removing cancellations, dealing with all the things that happen with draws, schedules, etc. They can also start and end the heats. So we recommend you using a laptop for this, or having a laptop available. It is all mobile friendly. You can do all this on a tablet or a phone, but it is handy sometimes if you need to make major schedule changes to do that on a laptop, so you can use your mouse and drag things around. So that's the first device, is a director's device, can be anything, but we recommend a laptop. And then the other devices are judges' devices. So we recommend one tablet per judge, and then something for the head judge to look at. That might be a screen, that just might be a link on their phone, but a device for the head judge if you have a head judge separate. For the judges, if you are buying tablets, you can just buy any tablet that has a web browser. So you can get a simple Chrome tablet from your electronics store that are quite cheap these days. You don't need an Apple device. That's probably overkill with the camera and everything that you won't use with Liveheats. So we would recommend spending somewhere on the mid to low range, not super cheap because they end up becoming quite slow, but you're using just the web. So if you just keep your devices to Liveheats only, you don't let the fellow directors' kids start watching YouTube and games and stuff on them, then you can get away with a pretty simple tablet and just use Google Chrome device, browser, I should say. Cool. So let's now pretend that I have a judge's tablet. So I'm just going to open up an incognito window here and go to Liveheats. And then I'm going to go to my event dashboard and set up this tablet. So let's pretend this window is a tablet as a judge on the day. So to get my judges logins, I scroll down here to judge logins, or I can navigate through my organization settings, which will always have my judge logins. And in here, I can see my judge credentials, the passwords you'll receive on an email that comes from Liveheats. Welcome to Liveheats. It'll contain your unique passwords for your judges. For me today, I'm just going to set a simple password on this one so I can jump in. So I've just set a simple password on this credential for me. So I'm just going to log in with that. And I'm now logged in as that judge. We recommend updating your passwords regularly for all of your judge logins to keep them nice and secure. You can edit them in here really easily. You can, while I'm here, you can also add fellow directors to your club or organization with this add user button. If you want to keep your committee members on this list, you can use that tool to add or remove who has director access. So I've logged in now as Judge 1. You can see that showing up here. You do the same with Judge 2, Judge 3, Judge 4 on different devices. Just go to liveheats.com, log in with them, and then they'll just select the event that they're judging. Now, hopping back to my event dashboard on the director side, we're now logged in as our judges. We have our tablet set up here. We're ready to now start the first heat. So we go to the head judge page, and we can just press start anywhere when we're logged in as a director. And that activates the judge's scorecard, and the countdown timer begins. Now, the judges to score, they just tap on, when the athlete takes a ride, they tap on this here, they type in their score, and then the score will appear here to the head judge screen. It will also go through to the public screen, so you can see that score is now live for everybody following. You can see here on the head judge screen, we have Judge 1 showing up here, because I'm only logged in as Judge 1, but in a real life situation, you have Judge 2 and Judge 3 also in this list. Now, if your judges miss a score, so let's say I'm just going to type in a score here for Judge 2. Let's say Judge 1 has not scored this. What you'll see in a few moments' time is a little missing score icon appear to this Judge 1 to help prompt them to type their score in. What's important with Liveheats is that all the judges are scoring the same rides. So you don't want them to get out of sync where Judge 1 misses a wave, so he scores, he scores this as a 3 and the other judge scores it as a 7 because they're looking at different waves. You want to keep the judges communicating, and you want to make sure, hey guys, we've got 4 scores for red, 2 for white, 3 for yellow, 1 for blue. Make sure all the judges on the same page in terms of number of rides, and then that might prompt the judges about, oh, I've only got 2 for blue, what was the third one? And the other judges will say, oh, he just pulled off really quickly, give it a one or whatever. Make sure they're on the same page. If there's a missing score, you now see that there's a missing score prompt shown to that judge, and then the head judge will also see a flag which shows that there's a missing score from one of the judges, or there's a variance that's greater than 15% in their scores. So I'm just going to delete this one out. The head judge can edit things on their page too. If you have kids judging or what have you, and you want to keep an eye on them and make changes, you can do that. You can also set it up so the head judge has to approve the scores. That's in the event settings. So that's basically the process for scoring. I'm just going to type in some more scores for these athletes. So we have some positions here to advance. I'll make this one a 7 actually. So we have, cool. So now we have our ranking here. We're happy with this ranking. All our scores are in. When this timer goes to 0, or you can do this at any stage, you can just end it. And this will now bring up the next heat in our schedule for starting. So these heats that we're scoring come directly from the schedule. If you had a mistake happen in the scoring on that heat, or the wrong person was advanced, you can just go back to the event tab, go to the division, and then you can click into heats here that are completed and make changes to scores, and that will update the results. Just note that if you're editing a completed heat, it won't change the progression. So if you make changes to this and it resulted in a different person advancing, if the heat's already completed, you do need to then remove who was mistakenly advanced and add in who was meant to advance. Just adding in a completed heat will update results, but not progression. Progression happens when we end the heat. So you can use this tool to undo, which moves you up or down in the schedule. So I can now see this heat is live again. If I'd made some changes and then ended it, that would update the progression. But you can also edit directly in the draw via this button here. Cool. So now we've scored our first heat. We've hopped back to the schedule. We can now say heat 2 is ready to go. We can now start that one. And those scores can come through on the judges' devices again. It's going to type in some dummy scores. If we have an interference situation, one of the judges just has to tap interference and tap it on the score that is the interfering athlete, so the athlete who gets the penalty, tap it on their score, one of their scores. So now we can see if they got another wave here with an interference, the system's going to half their second ride. We also have a priority interference rule if you're doing priority. And if you are doing priority, we have a priority judge tablet view as well. So you can have priority judge typing the priorities in on Liveheats, so it can show on an LED screen and that sort of thing, which I won't cover today, but drop us a note if you're interested in using digital priority. Cool, so now we have gone through and scored this heat. I'm just going to remove this interference to show you how to do that. The judge just taps remove modifier, and then they tap on where that interference was added. The head judge could also do that. You can just remove the modifier down here if someone accidentally adds an interference, or you can even add it for them as the director / head judge. So now we've got all of our scores in. I'm going to end this heat. And you will see now for our final, which is what's up now, we do have the athletes set up for us. So if I go to the event dashboard, you see the system has advanced people for us based on the draw that we had set up. And you might like to, if you want to make the final longer, you can go to the round settings and say, for example, you want to give the athletes a 25-minute final, just change the heat duration to 25. And now we'll give them a nice long final so they can go out and do their best. So let's now quickly score this final. So we'll start that. Judges will punch in all of their scores. You'll see those come through on the head judge page. Just putting some dummy scores in here. The green indicates to the head judge which is their counting score, and the public can be following this on their Liveheats page on their phone. You can also, if you want to have a TV screen set up at the beach, use the TV scoreboard link. That gives you a nice big TV screen link to show everybody the live scores, previous results, and upcoming heats. But this is not to share with people for their own phone. That's the public event link. That's the one to share with people for their own phone and on social media and all that sort of stuff. So we've scored everything. We're now ready to go ahead and end this. So we just tap end. And now all of our results are completed. And we're ready to now push this to our rankings. So to push your event to the rankings, you first need to create your ranking series if you hadn't already. So I'll just do a quick 2025 ranking series. You can hop in here and edit your advanced settings, which I won't cover today, but let's just go ahead and do this. We now have our ranking set up for the year. Going back to the event, which is now in the past events, all I have to do to have it in the rankings is have it as part of that series, which you can do when you're either building it or later. And then I just have to set this to results published. And we'll update. Now those results are published to our rankings. If I go to the Open Women's Division, we'll now see our rankings have come through for this event. Likewise, your second event and so on will populate in here in the same way. And we have a whole range of tools around rankings management for different point allocations and a bunch of really advanced things for complex rankings. So that's basically everything for running a Liveheats event. So I'm going to pause there for the prezo, and then we'll spend some time on the Q&A. Cool. So we only have 2 questions on the Q&A. If you have a question, what I'll do is I will put up the link one more time in the Google Meet chat. Feel free to submit your question through the chat there, and then people can vote up or down on that too. So yeah, I'll spend some time answering these questions now. So the first one is, can a Grom surf and get points in the Open division without nominating Open at the start to avoid extra charge before Liveheats allowed this? So this sounds like it's a membership question. So you want to allow them to register for their own division, but then also register for one additional division in the membership signups and then do those through the year. So the answer to that is you can set that athletes can select 2 divisions in the membership. In the membership settings, there's an option for maximum divisions per person. You just want to set that on 2. We don't have a way where you can only specifically allow Groms to do 2 divisions. You basically have to allow everybody to be able to select 2 divisions. So that would be how you allow them to select it. If you want them to only pay for the first division, there's an option in there to set that extra division charge to 0. So that means they'll pay for their first division. Their second division will be no extra cost. So you can do that. When it comes to the events themselves, we did used to have it so you could only enter events that enter divisions that you were a member of. But what we found is there was a whole bunch of people struggling with that setting set up like that. So we reverted it so members, as long as they have a valid membership, can register for any division. But we have received feedback that people want it to be restricted for divisions as well. So we're thinking of making that setting available again. So what you could do there is you could have Groms specifically, you could add them to both Opens and Groms in their membership, and then that would make sure that they're only entering those events that they're permitted to. But yeah, feel free to get in touch on that one and I can respond better on email. Yeah, funnily enough, the second question, can we make sure competitors can only register in the event division that is the same as their series registration division? So yeah, that's what I just explained. We did have it built like that originally, but then we had heaps of complaints. Hey, this one kid wants to do 2 divisions and he can only register for Groms, but he's not a member of Opens too. Can we relax that setting? So we relaxed it, but now obviously it's causing problems on the other way, when now people can enter any division. So yeah, leave that one with us. We will deal with that soon. So this, yeah, to answer this question, the current answer is no, but we do want to improve that for you. The next one is, we created 2025 series. Do we have to create a separate rankings as well? When I'm logged in, we can see rankings and members. So yeah, just guessing we don't have to. That's correct. So in this series that I set up, I just did that as a rankings only series to show you guys rankings. If you're a standard club, you will do rankings and membership. That will give you rankings on one tab and then your membership on the second tab. That means everyone's contained within one series, which is nice and clean. People join as a member and pay, and then they compete in the events and they get a ranking. Basically how that works. So yeah, you do not need to have a separate series for that. Hello, I have a life member who we added manually. He's trying to register his kids and it is still asking him to join as well. So in this case, what you'll want to do is make sure he's logging in with the email address that's on his Liveheats profile. So when you added him to Liveheats, you would have put in an email address. He's probably logging in with a different email address than that one. So what you want to get him to do is just go to his profile, go down here to his linked users, make sure the email that you've got linked to him is showing as the email he's logged into Liveheats with. Get him or her to check and make sure that he's using that. If he is on a different email, you can link that new email to his profile, and that will make sure that his membership is visible. It won't ask him to join already. When 2 surfers progress to a round, how do you set it up? So first and second, go to opposite sides of the draw. Yeah, this is a really good question. So our original algorithm was built on the Surfing Australia rulebook. So if I quickly in this one, I'll just do, I'll quickly import some seeds in here so I can show you guys. Let's just grab some dummy data from this list. 16 athletes. Cool. Let's just use this example to show you a draw. So let's say we're doing a 16-person draw. I'm just going to whip through this quickly. Now you can see we do place first and second in the same heat. It's the old Surfing Australia rulebook that the algorithm was created from, where you want to keep the athletes on one side of the draw. We know that now people want these mixed. So we don't have an automated method for this, but you can manually drag the positions around. So say you want to split up athletes out of heat 1 and have, say, heat 3 up here, manually drag them around like that, and then set all of these up in all of your rounds so they're mixed up, and then you can now save this. So what we recommend doing is saving a bracket for that number of athletes. So say this, we had 16 here. Once you've done this hard work on the draw, then you can just save this as our 16 bracket. And then next time you have 16 athletes or 15 or 14 or whatever closest to this, use that same bracket and it'll give you those same progression positions. It'll make your life much easier. And we will try to automate that in the future. Can you withhold registration until you improve them so that people aren't charged rego fees until approved? So the short answer here is we do not have a waitlisted membership setting available, unfortunately. When people join as a member within your membership series, they will automatically be added as a member. What I would recommend doing here is using custom field to handle this manually. So what you can do is in your membership, and I'll just quickly connect the Stripe account here so I can show you these settings. I'm just going to choose one of these dummy accounts. Cool, so I've connected my Stripe account now so I can set up to take payments when this loads. So yeah, with your membership, what you'll want to do is in the members settings to make it so that people have to, we don't have a native feature for approving them, but what we do recommend is having something like this saying like, I understand that membership is approval based, and my membership will be reviewed and approved. And something like, if not, I will be refunded. Something like this to just help them understand you may cancel their membership, make it required, and set it as at the registration level. That means that it will appear on the form when they're checking out, and they have to check box that. That at least gives you that extra layer of they have accepted that they may be rejected in their membership sign up. So at least you have that extra layer. That's what we recommend. Yeah, sorry, we don't have a feature for approving them. We do have that in events. You can set up an event and have approve, like with our waitlisting feature. It's not yet available in memberships. Is there a way to register and not pay via Liveheats? Payment made via the club directly? Yes, you can still use our I'm assuming this is in membership. So within the membership context, you still, to use our membership tool, you do need to connect to Stripe. It's just a part of how that works, but you can set this to 0. Or if you want to have the online version available and cash, you can just leave the online version set up with whatever your prices are. And then if you do get people paying offline, you can just manually add them in here. Or you could set the prices to 0 and they could register themselves and their data would be in here automatically, but you won't have payments coming through Liveheats. You do need to connect to Stripe to use this membership tab. So yeah, it's not really designed for 100% cash or non-Liveheats payments for membership. That is how we make money from this membership feature, is having a transaction fee. If a Grom is registered for a Grom only membership and we add them into Open Men's in the day, will they get points for Open Men's for the year and recognize? Yes, is the answer to that. Anybody who's in an event division will get points for that division. You can manually remove, it won't look at their membership to consider where they get points. If you want them to get points, then you don't have to do anything. If you do not want them to get points, you have to manually go into the results once the division is completed, and you can click on their name. So say this person, Jane 1, was a Grom and she did Open Women's, but we don't want her to get points. You can exclude them from the rankings by just checking that box and exiting. That'll now not give her rankings points. Otherwise, they will automatically get rankings points. Awesome, guys. Well, we're a couple minutes over. So if there's no further questions, we'll leave it there. The final thing I'll touch on is just how to contact us. So yeah, we are here and keen to work with you all and provide you with support, make sure you're successful with the system and get your feedback. So there is a contact email up here that comes to all of us in the company, and we are all here to make sure you're supported. There is a help center, which if you open this up, you'll be able to find heaps of articles and information on how to use Liveheats and get the most out of it. You can search, and then yeah, we do also love your feedback, so please don't hesitate to get in touch with any ideas. We have a lot of exciting things coming down the pipeline this year. We're growing our engineering team to really innovate and try to help take surfing and action sports competitions to the next level. So really value your guys working on our platform and hope we can help you take your events to the next level. Awesome, guys. Well, I'll just final check. There's no further questions, so we'll leave it there. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And we'll chat soon. Bye-bye.